Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers with your host, Anthony Darkstone.
Greetings and welcome, and a very, very good evening and a good afternoon and a good morning to you. And in case you're wondering why I'm doing all three, well, we do have people in different time zones in different parts of the planet. So a very great welcome to you. This is going to be a lot of fun. They all are, but this one's going to be particularly good fun because I've never come across a guest who can do all these wonderful things. So before we actually get to our guest today, I want to take a moment, in fact, to for those of you who don't know him, to have our president, most illustrious Dr. Joel Zaritsky, to say a quick howdy.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Joel. Great to see you as always. In fact, it's always great to see you because without you, we wouldn't have all the Zoom and everything else that we need to do for this and other shows. So great to have you here. Before we actually turn the spotlight over to our guest today, who you know is Katherine Rhodes, what I'd like to do, in fact, is to maybe start with a little bit of magic and just show you little bits of Katherine in action. Pay very close attention to the words that appear on the screen as the clip begins. So, without any further ado, if you'd be kind enough, Joel, just run the clip.
It looks like a £15 note. What are the odds? Does it got a serial number on it? Yeah. Do you still have your receipt, sir? Nothing coming to you? My director and I had a long conversation about the best items to go at this point of the show, and eventually we were unanimous that it is an interval.
Absolutely amazing.
Don't really know how she does it.
You kind of see the white attitude, the green attitude thing, whereas with her, we're like, you literally have no idea. She's amazing, and she's really witty and very calm. And
The numbers thing as well at the end.
you both done to her at the same time. She's hilarious.
Lemon trip was pretty amazing. The reason why I thought it was amazing was because I used to go to at the and I thought, wow, how did she get that?
How did you get a £20 note ripped up inside of a lemon? I thought the trick with the ribbon was amazing was she got multiple people in the audience it makes the lyrics but the second one she had was exactly similar to the one in the audience.
I could see it in front of me, and it's amazing.
The room is good. That was like that was like effects. Because she didn't change it. She got it out of the box and she got it out straight. She didn't shuffle it. It was
Absolutely brilliant. And in fact, even if she took the magic out, it would be an amazing comedy act. It's just brilliant. We laugh, and how does she do it?
the room is good. Obviously, it was like a random thing in the brick. Like she's getting audience members to throw it to people. So she's not dictating where it goes. It's like very good, very clever.
The Rubik's Cube, amazing. It's fantastic.
really amazing and a great presentation. I was kind of like dumbfounded actually. I was really, really impressed. Fantastic show.
That's it, actually, that's me on stage apparently with some of the flowers that I'm going to get. And as it turns out, there was none. And none coming from any of you either. But they said it's a magic card full of flowers, which I thought was really sweet. It's not. It's just well, scroll. Let's be honest. It's just scroll. I thought, what's it? I do like my nephews, and I do like when dreams come true to them. But if I could reach in.
To believe in magic, but yes I do, of course I do.
Wow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a few snippets from the brilliant magical career of Katherine Rhodes. And let's all give her a warm hand clap via Zoom or like that as we welcome her to the Darkstone Dossiers. And here she is, the lady herself. Hello, Katherine.
Hello. Sorry,
And
I'm having
welcome.
tea.
You're still having your tea. Hold up your mug again. That's got the Magic Circle logo on it.
Yeah, of course it has.
Well, of course it has, she says. for those who don't know the logo, now you're very skilled in a number of areas, quite apart from magic. And for those who don't know, you were on the council of the Magic Circle for quite a few years, and you are currently, as of last year, if I've got it right, the secretary of the Magic Circle.
Yes.
What I'd like to do, in fact, is maybe just start with a little bit of your magic, which we have seen, and because of your past and present positions in the Magic Circle, is just have a very brief chat. The show is about you, but I think we need to say a few words about the Magic Circle. As most people know, the SAM, Society of American Magicians, was founded in 1902, but we found out from Max Maven last night that it was actually there before it got its name. And interestingly enough, we also found out from Max that the Society of American Magicians got its name because of a former president of the Magic Circle, the great and wonderful, dearly loved by me and many, many people, Ali Bongo, who actually made a suggestion about the name, and that it was actually started by people who were Canadian and not necessarily American. So, which brings us neatly to the fact that we now have a wonderful international assembly. What is that? It's a little bit like IBM Rings, which everybody knows, but we like to think a little bit better. I mean, I belong to both, so, and the Magic Circle. So, there's no rivalry. And our most recent member from the SAM was our president, who you just met, Joel, who was also made 27th of June, if I remember rightly. The Magic Circle president came on and announced publicly that he was accepted to the Magic Circle. So let me turn it over to the expert who knows infinitely more than I do and ever will. What are the criteria for joining the Magic Circle?
The easiest way to apply is, yes, through the website these days. You can go on there and you'll see a section that says join You can click that and fill out a form, and then someone from our examinations team will get in touch and take you through the rest of the steps. A lot of the steps are automated via the online form through the website, so you can get through a lot of the paperwork that used to take weeks and months back in the old days. I say old days, it's horrible that 20 years ago feels like the old days, but hey ho. But yeah, you know, it's so much quicker now because technology allows it to be streamlined, and that gets you the process started so much quicker. And then a member of the examinations team will be in touch, and there'll be an informal talk, which some people refer to as an interview. It's more of a getting to know you to check that you are suitable for the circle, as in, you know, you're the level that you're at, and it's not you've only just got a book out the library and you thought, I'll apply to join. Check that you know, that everything's okay. And if everything is all in order, and they'll sort of talk you through the rest of the process and get it underway.
There are tiers, because as Max alluded to last night, I keep saying Max, but you know, you have to say this because it's being, you know, topped and tailed and edited, etc. If you haven't seen it, talk to me or Joel or Katherine. We'll get you the link as to where it is. He was explaining about the history of Magic clubs last night, and the IBM, and to a larger degree the SAM, is based in many ways on another organization we won't go into. Because of that, there are tiers at the Magic Circle. Unlike the IBM or the SAM or TAOM or any of the others, you can pretty much just kind of join. But at the Magic Circle, the vetting procedure is, I wouldn't say rigorous, but shall we say thorough? Would that be a good word to use,
yes.
Katherine?
And you mean tiers as in levels, not tiers as in boo-hoo, I didn't make it. Yeah, we start. We now have what we call an apprentice scheme. That's it's almost like a holding room, really. So you can apply to join, and if you're almost good enough, but not quite, I think almost good enough. That sounds horribly snobby, but take it in the spirit it's meant. You know, if you're sort of like you're so close to being able to be a member. There's like a 2-year period that you can experience the whole of the Magic Circle. You can see the lectures and interact and read the magazine and use the resources, etc., just to get you that extra little bit of grounding that you need to be able to pass the exam, because there is an entrance exam with the marking criteria, and you have to, obviously the majority of the examiners have to pass you for that. And there are levels of pass marks. So there's the one level which is membership in the Magic Circle, which is what everybody should strive for. And then a few on their entrance, but not too many. But later on, you can take an additional exam to go for an associate of the inner Magic Circle, which is a much harder exam to pass. The pass mark there and the restrictions on it are much harder. So it's really a test to go through, and anybody getting that should be very, very proud of themselves. And that's the highest you can go by examination. And then after that is a member of the inner Magic Circle, which is only by call of the president in office at the time, and is limited to a maximum of 300 worldwide at any one point as well. So those are, excuse me, so those are the levels.
Yep, you in fact are, for some time now, have been an MIMC, member of the Inner Magic Circle,
yes,
with a gold star. Others like myself are associates of the Inner Magic Circle with a silver star. The stars, you can become an MIMC or an AIMC without the star, but the star, if I'm right, and again, please correct me, you need to be a performer. Is that correct?
Yes, because as you say, you can have it with and without the star. AIMC without star or MIMC without star. There are people like historians, for example, who are very, very worthy of the degree, but aren't performers. So the star, literally, it just indicates that you are a performer rather than a historian, etc.
At a certain level. So just very quickly to recap, if people are interested, and I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be, go to it. It is a thorough process, and as Katherine has said, you come in as an apprentice. That doesn't necessarily mean, oh my gosh, I'm not 18, I'm 32. No, the apprentices can be of any age. It's more, as Katherine was saying, a level or degree in whatever form of magic you do. historian, writer. You may have I mean, I've got a very, very good friend who's got an AIMC, and he got that because he wrote a brilliant thesis. And part of that thesis is actually in a special feature next month in MUM, which please don't say mum, it's MUM, and it stands for Magic, Unity, and Might. There's a wonderful reason why all that comes about. I won't go into it, but it's there. And we have a feature that some of you have seen called Magic Around the World, which I host. And next month, August, Magic Around the World is actually featuring 12 Magic Circle members from around the world. Obviously England, Scotland, Iceland, Malta, the US, and various places. And some of those people are MIMCs with gold stars, others are AIMC, and others are just MMCs. Just, did the man say? Yes, the man said just. Because each level, each degree, therein lies a clue to what it's based on. Each degree brings you to a particular performing level. And I think it should be noted, as Katherine has said, an MIMC goes to people like the caliber of Walter Blaney, Siegfried and Roy. You don't get those, and again, Katherine, correct me if I'm wrong, there's only 300 in the entire world. And
slightly less.
Slightly less. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want you to correct me. And you can't actually get one of those unless the sitting president at the time gives it to you, having consulted with the council. It's not just something he or she goes, yeah, great, I want to do that for a friend. No, it doesn't work like that. If there is a place available. Am I right in that, Katherine?
Yes, because it's a maximum of 300 worldwide.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I'd have to go into the office and check. I think at the moment there are 291, I think.
And I think it's fair to mention that there are not very many women. I would be right, I assume, in saying it's just literally
19.
almost 19. Yeah,
19.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Can you imagine that? 19 women in the world who have an MIMC with a gold star. So, yeah. Are there any members in the USA and Canada, Rod asks, and the answer is yes, there are members all around the world, from Morocco to different places, and they are there. I will, and I have before on a different show, but I will mention Lord Mountbatten was a member, and we're going back 60 or 70 years now, and he introduced his great nephew, Prince Charles, who is also a member, an MIMC with a gold star, but he also had to pass an exam, and he did the cups and balls. Isn't that so, Katherine?
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't, okay, you're Prince Charles, you're a member. Yes? No, didn't work like that.
He had to do an exam, and the cups and balls that he used, we've actually got in our museum now. So, so we've got his DNA.
Speaking of cups and balls, a set that Ali Bongo used, he used many sets, but a set with a certificate saying that it is his set, signed by Jack Delvin, who was at one time the president of TMC, the Magic Circle, resides in Bill Palmer's museum, which you can visit online, and I urge you to do it. To give you an indication of what he's got in there, is cups and balls going back quite literally 2,000 to 3,000 years. It's amazing. You can visit it online. Bill was my first guest on the Darkstone Dossiers. He talks about it, and if you want to visit it, get in touch with me. I'll give you the link, and you ask Bill for a password, and trust me, it's the most amazing thing you could see online. A collection. So that's the Magic Circle, but we also have every Monday night the doors open and members
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, exactly. The doors at the moment look like this. There you are. That's what the doors look like, if you can see it. Yeah, it's not the easiest place to find. I was once in a taxi, and this is a true story, and the taxi driver turned around to me and he said, no charge, because he couldn't find it. He really did. That's a true story. And he said, I've been driving a London cab for over 35 years, and I didn't know that was over there. So it's not difficult to find, but it ain't the easiest thing in the world.
But it is now, just to add to that, it is now actually part of the knowledge, which is the test that London cabbies go through to learn all the streets and all the landmarks, etc. The Magic Circle is now one of the items that is part of the knowledge. They have to know where it is before they can get their license.
Oh, okay. Well, the doors are closed at the moment, as Katherine says, not now, because Monday nights there's usually a lecture or something going on, and at other times there are shows which are put on. Tell us a little bit about the shows that you produce, Katherine.
It's not the shows for Monday nights, the ones that I'm involved with.
Oh, yeah, other times I meant, sorry. Not
the main ones in the circle is the annual Christmas show, which is our flagship show, and that runs usually for 16 shows and sold out, which raises a lot of the funds that help to maintain our building throughout the rest of the year. That's a big fundraiser. But throughout the year, there's all sorts happening. Usually, obviously, not at the moment, but if the world was functioning normally, there's a lot happening in that building. We have Monday morning events and talks for elderly groups, school children, etc., and like roundtable crews and things. And there are evening shows. There's dedicated close-up shows. They happen. There's stage shows. There's the new format that we've got, the Magic Circle Mysteries. That I'm involved with, which is a whole experience. But with all of our shows, the important thing is the show starts the moment you walk through the door, because the building is part of one of the stars anyway, because it's a phenomenal building. If you haven't seen it, you can, if you ever get a chance to visit the Circle and you haven't, please do so, because it's an astonishing building. It's beautiful the moment you walk in, and there is stuff to see everywhere. You have to go there many, many times to be able to see it all. Because you will miss things, and we're always changing it anyway, because we've got the museum, we've got the club room, which is where the bar is, and that's the most important room, and there's the Devant room, which is really an extension of the museum. There's all sorts in there, stuff from Tommy Cooper, Paul Daniels, Houdini, Harbin, etc., Devant stuff, of course. And then there's the theatre itself. There's so much going on. We have, the moment you get in, there are people walking around that will help you understand what some of the exhibits are, because there's just having things in cabinets it can be a bit dull. But if you've got people that know what they're talking about and want to know what things are, can bring these items to life, it's a whole different experience and makes it far more interesting. And we also have a beat the cheat going on. That people can do it. We have photo opportunities that people can. It's a flat pack zigzag that people can stand in using a lot of black art, so they can look like they're performing the zigzag on their partner or their friend or whatever. So all of that is available before the show even starts. So there's much to do. It's not just turn up, wait a bit in the bar, and then go and see a show. There's a lot going on. So that's an average show at the Circle.
Yeah, and it's a magnificent theatre. I'm very proud, if I sound like I'm bragging, yes I am, to have actually stood on that stage. I didn't perform there, I hasten to add. I actually gave my lecture from the stage, which was quite a privilege to do it. And even if you're a member, the moment you go through those doors, which we just saw were locked, there's a gentleman standing there who's very, very nice, and he will ask you to present him with this, which is your membership card, and he will verify you are a bona fide member and let you sign in. You are allowed as a member to take a guest. There is a small token fee to be paid to do that, again, because we want to keep the element of, what's the word I want to use here? Class, elegance, whatever. The exclusivity, the magic. Yes, the exclusivity, really. I haven't ignored you, Rod. I'll come back to that question at the end because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So I will. So what I'd like to do, there's so much stuff. We mentioned the Devant room. I mean, I've used that when we've done talks at the Magic Circle. I was invited to give a talk there some time ago. And in the Devant room, if you never ever saw anything else in that building, you could literally stand there for a couple of hours and be blown away. One of the exhibits is a kind of miniature water cell torture by Houdini, and next to it on a wax I think that used to be made out of wax.
Wax cylinder, yeah.
A wax cylinder. His voice. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can't hear it. You have to speak nicely to somebody, and they'll get it out and show it to you. But you have to speak very, very nicely.
You can hear it. We've had it digitized. There's now a button you can press, and you can listen to an audio recording of it there, along with a video clip. But you can actually now hear Houdini speaking. And soon coming at the other end of the Devant room, the electronics are all created, but they're not in there. And part of it is in my studio, which is that away, so I can't play it to you. But we're going to be having, we've uncovered some recordings of Devant speaking as well. So some very early recordings of David Devant. So you'll be able to hear Houdini at one end, and you'll be able to listen to David Devant at the other end.
Wow. The Devant room, as I said earlier on, I mean, it has a magnificent statue of him there with, it's a sort of half-bust statue, but it has got his hand and the multiplying billiard balls or whatever it was he used. Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. Thank you. So, you know, strictly speaking, nobody's allowed to stand next to it and take a photograph. But one or two naughty people, one of them who you're actually listening to at the moment, snuck in there and took a photograph next to it.
There's nothing wrong with having photographs taken next to that thing at all.
Okay.
That weighs an absolute ton, that thing, because apart from having the bronze cast there, it's motorized. What a lot of people don't realize is it actually plugs into part of the floor, and it slowly revolves, which is a wonderful thing to see. It really does look beautiful, until we found out that people were using little parts of it as a table, and as it slowly turned around, it was sweeping these glasses off. So we need to rethink the base of that to be able to stop people putting their glasses on before we allow that to rotate anymore. But it's quite wonderful having that slowly revolving around. It's just an extra little something.
I think a lot of our friends who are attending who are members of the Magic Circle are kind of nodding and going, yes. I mean, it's a thrilling experience. The sad part is for people who kind of visited it all the time, like anything, you know, you kind of go, hey, you know, I've seen it, whatever. But if you go in there I remember audible gasps from Joel's predecessor, Stephen Spence. He was brought there as Michael Vincent's guest one day. I happened to be there. And we hooked up and chatted, and dear Dr. Leonard, who is an amazing dentist, he's retired now, actually said to me, have you seen the inner circle in the museum? I said, no, I never have. And he said, come with me. And I managed to grab Stephen Spence. It was a great, great honor to be taken up to, or was it down? I never can remember. Down. Okay. Because there's an amazing elevator there as well, and the windy spiral staircase, which I will say nothing about. You go have a look yourself online. We have some pictures here of the Devant room. We'll pull the first one up. Now, I'm going to let Katherine do this. She will kind of sweep from left to right and give you a rough idea of what... Oh, there's the bust. I'll let her start with that.
There's the bus. That's not where that's pushed there out of the way. You can see in the front of this semicircle. That's our logo, which is actually in the carpet. The Devant bust usually sits in the middle of that, which is where just to the left of where this photograph is taken from is the main entrance door to that room, and so it's the first thing you see when you come in. I can't remember. It's been a few months since I've been in this building, and I can't remember what all the pictures are, but just the main cabinet you can see in the far right corner, that's the Harbin cabinet, and that's the original zigzag that's in there, along with a lot of other bits and pieces from Robert Harbin. But you can also see the video of that very prop being used for the first time at the London Palladium. You can watch that in that cabinet. And then you come along, and then there's the chairs from the Egyptian Hall, and cups and balls, things. There's a Tommy Cooper display just in there, excuse me. And then just a little bit further out of shot, you can see there's a bongo cabinet, and there's one for Paul Daniels. And behind where the photograph is taken is what we call the Houdini end, because that's where a lot of the Houdini memorabilia is. And to the left that you can't see, there's Lafayette's sword is there. I think it's Lafayette. No, Lafayette's sword is now down in the museum. I can't remember what we've put there now. So somebody's sword. I can't remember whose. It's an early special effect, and you can still see the wires that are in it because it used to burst into flames. wouldn't now. It looks really ropey, but I can't remember whose it was. And then there's various bits and pieces on the left-hand side, Robert Houdin's. There's a few Houdin clocks. There's one of the amazing paper fans that used to be given away in Paris that were disposable, and it's in phenomenal condition. That's a beautiful artifact. But that's barely scratching the surface of what's in that room, and that's just the Devant room.
Oh, indeed, yes. I believe we have a couple of other pictures of it as well, which Katherine very kindly sent us. Yes, that's also kind of like when you come in from the other side, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So there's the doors out, and the public loos are off to that side. Not that you need to know. There's the cabinets have changed since these pictures were taken. So, and I can't recall what we're seeing in this photograph because I can't quite make it out. My screen I'm looking at is too small.
What we're seeing is the Devant bust in the middle, like you were saying.
Yes, that's where that normally lives, and that funny little Egyptian figure that doesn't live there. That's there to make the photo look good. That's usually outside. Guests at public shows, that's for them to leave their drinks on before they go up to the theatre, stop them taking them with them. But it's put there to look quite good.
Yeah.
But you can see the Egyptian hall chairs and our tables that are from Chinese Muse and what have you. And right at the far end where those blue curtains are, off to the right, the cabinet you can slightly see glowing. That's where the Houdini recording is that I was telling you about. And opposite that is Ali Bongo and Paul Daniels. Yeah, some stuff from them.
Do we have another shot, Joel, which Katherine very kindly supplied us with?
Yeah, the Devant room, I say doubles up. It doesn't double up. It triples, quadruples. It has many functions, this room. But this is it set out. You can have 80 for dinner in banquet space. It converts into this banqueting space, and you can feed 80 people there, because quite often that will happen before they have a show upstairs for corporate hires and award ceremonies and things.
I think it's interesting you mentioned corporate hires, because the Magic Circle Club is one thing, and then there is a company involved, an actual limited company, and there are corporations, businesses who can hire the Circle like you would any venue in a hotel or elsewhere for, as Katherine has just said, a pre-show dinner, and then you're taken to the theatre and you can hire that exclusively for your clients. Am I right in saying that, Katherine?
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Okay. Is there any more we have on the Devant room, Joel? Katherine found these nice pictures for us, which is, kind of history here, really, that we're looking at. Things have changed a little bit. And when it all opens up again, like everything else, it's well worth, having a look. If you're not a member and you can't get in, find somebody who is a member, and they will get you in if you pay the small token fee as the guest. Okay. I think we kind of covered most of the stuff with the Magic Circle, and I think we had to talk about it because Katherine, having been on the council and indeed the current secretary. So I think any inquiries, etc., initially, go to the website. Should you join the Magic Circle? The short answer, yes. Will you be accepted? And the equally short answer is, I don't know.
Let's go with hopefully.
Yes. Yes, hopefully yes, depending who you are, what you've done, how long you've been in Magic and all that. There are criteria, and that's it. If you pass the criteria, yes, you will be accepted at a particular level. Okay, now, I want to move away a little bit from the Magic Circle and Magic and focus a little bit more on Katherine. Not that we haven't, but I want to focus a little bit more on her, because there's a couple, apart from Magic and all your duties at the Magic Circle, etc., and your extensive cabaret and corporate and other appearances, etc., that you do perform on stage, etc., and your MIMC with the Gold Star, you seem to also have time to be a musician. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I started as a musician. I started playing piano when I was 4. I'm a classically trained pianist, but so I hit my teenage years and discovered synthesizers, and that took me in a very different course. All I wanted to be was a musician. That's that was my dream, as most people's are. They want to be sort of like, they want to be the rock star or something, but I just wanted to be a musician. Well, actually, I wanted to be a puppeteer, but I I thought, sort of, there's no work for a puppeteer. I want to be a musician because that's logical. So that's what I wanted to do. But and I had a band. I was in a band, and we had a little bit of success and a little bit of interest, but we were young and sort of didn't handle it very well. And then all changed and left school and college and ended up with real jobs. And the guy that I was in the band with, he came into my work one day and he says, "Do you fancy a challenge?" Turned out a promoter in London somehow had heard one of our old demo recordings and wanted to offer us a gig. And he said, "Do you fancy doing it?" I thought, that could be fun to give this another go. He said, "Great, because I've accepted it." Oh, terrific. I can just foresee a few small problems here. We've got no material, we've got no equipment, we've got no band, but we got it all together, and we thought we'll do it on as much of a shoestring as we can, because if we don't enjoy it or it doesn't work out, we won't have wasted too much. So we did this gig, and it was terrific, and they booked us straight after for another one. So okay, so we threw ourselves into it properly, and we ended up really going for it. And we were spending so much. I was living down on the south coast at this time, but we were spending so much time.
Let me just interrupt you for a second for all our folks who are not in England. You mean the south coast of England, right?
Oh yes, very much so. Yes, south coast of England. I suppose sort of just over 100 miles outside of London. But we were spending so much time in London that gigging that eventually we decided to move here. So we got proper jobs in London, and so that we didn't have to spend so much time travelling. It was far more convenient, and it was going great. But as with all things, real life tends to get in the way as you grow up, and you end up with more responsibilities, and life is difficult, and it slowly withered away, and it ended up. And that's when I sort of found magic. Really, I'd always had a slight interest in magic, but I'd never considered doing it properly. But that's almost like it replaced music, and that's how I found magic and ended up joining the Magic Circle, and I can't think how many years circle, and then just a chance meeting with Jules, who I'd moved to London with, because we'd gone our separate ways and hadn't seen each other for many years. We got together and we thought we just started talking about music, and we thought, just for old time's sake, let's see what we can do. So we got back together and just did a little bit, just for our own amusement, but it was going okay, and we sent it out, and we ended up writing music for film and TV stuff. So that wasn't it. We thought, we like this because there's no pressure. And then we got offered a live show. We said, let's just do one, just for the fun of it. We'll do one, but we won't do it seriously. So we did the one, and it went really well, and we got offered another one, and before we knew it, we were on the road touring. We had a record contract, an album out, and then we was several years touring around Europe, including around promoting the album. And so it ended up being a proper career, which it was never intended to be, so it was bizarre. Then the record label started being a bit difficult, and we had to equate it, and one of the guys that we'd got in, he'd left to have a family. He decided to be a grown-up. And we replaced him with somebody else, but it never really quite gelled. And I was writing more orchestral music. Jules was writing slightly harder, more industrial stuff, and it didn't quite gel, and it wasn't working. We decided that it's time to call it quits, and we really should call it quits now. Let's stop while it's still a little bit of fun before it just gets too much of a chore. So we did, because it was never meant to get to the point it did. That was all a bonus. So it's like, and then I thought, oh, what do I do? So I went back to magic, and I've stayed there, and here I am now. That's me in a nutshell.
It is a nutshell too, absolutely. Now, you've got involved, apart from your music and of course magic, as we've sort of seen a very small, tiny, minuscule sample of what you do, because I also happen to know that you are quite a formidable, for want of a better word, mentalist as well. And I remember you sitting in there when I lectured and coming to chat with me after I lectured at the Circle. And I think you came to one of my shows one time somewhere. Not at the Circle,
did, yes.
Yeah, somewhere else. Yes. I must tell a story, actually. This gives you an idea of how wonderful this lady is. She actually came to one of these shows, and I happened to have with me, I don't have it here handy, a copy of the Magic Circle. You've all seen that on the posts I've made with Katherine on the cover, which got like a keyboard and a picture of Katherine, the Magic Circular. And I had that copy, and I knew she was going to be there, so I went up to her and I said, would you be kind enough to sign this for me, please? So she sort of went, really? I said, yeah, really, please. So she did. And that was that. And never thought any more about it. But through a mutual friend who was actually the producer of this particular show, we somehow got together again the next day or the day after. I don't recall. And she called me over and she said, oh, come up here a minute. And I said, yeah, nice to see you again, etc. And she said, oh, I have something for you. And then extracted a copy of the same magazine. But this time, instead of just an autograph, she had written, and I'm not saying this to brag, I just think it's so lovely and gives you an idea of the personality of this lovely woman. She had written on there, and she'd said to me, you know, I just scribbled an autograph last night, but I thought about it, and I wanted to give you this. And she had written to Anthony, a fine gentleman of magic, and then signed it. Now, how cool is that, right? How cool is that? So I was deeply touched and moved by that. So that gives you an idea of, you know, the sort of person that we're talking about. So moving away now, magic, music, you do an entirely different card on the ceiling, don't you? Yours tends to take place somewhere between 5, 10, 20,000 feet. Because you fly planes!
Yes.
You're a pilot! Yeah, I told you, she does stuff. I mean, you know, this is it. Yeah. Top nut, if you will. Here's a card on the ceiling. Yeah, can you see it? It's at 20,000 feet. Yeah, right. Let's pull up the picture. Yeah, some hobby, I bet. Yeah, let's pull up that picture of you in a cockpit. There you are. Yeah, I was going to get out my Ray-Bans. Where are they? And I was going to wear them, especially, you know, and go, yeah. You know, if you're flying, you got to have Ray-Bans. Yeah, I've jumped out of the damn things, but I've never ever flown them. I've never ever jumped. Yeah, sorry, let me rephrase that. That was way, way back in the day, well over 50 years ago, when I was an even younger man than I am today. But how's that for a cool picture, eh? Look at that. Yeah. How many magicians you know do that? I don't know of many. I certainly don't know of any lady magicians who fly planes. And at the end of the show, we've got some footage of you with the red arrows. And if you don't know what the red arrows are, after you watch the footage, go Google it. Seriously, this is a big deal.
Former members of the Red Arrows, not actually with the Red Arrows. I
beg your pardon.
There's former members of the Red Arrows.
Yeah, well, it's still a pretty big deal. I mean, you know,
oh yeah,
yeah, to sit there. I'm the kind of person, I suppose, like most of us, you know, spend a lot of time at airports and airplanes, etc. You know, if I'm not standing up, I'm sitting down with my seatbelt on. I'm a pretty good traveler. I don't get ill or anything like that. You know, you have to be. The man who holds the record for all of that is Sean Farquhar, an old long-time pal. And incidentally, if you're interested, on the 20th of August, which is a Thursday, not a Saturday, we're going to have him as a guest on the Darkstone Dossiers, but more of that later. So let's get back to Katherine and flying. How? Where did this happen? When?
I grew up around aircraft. My father worked at Eastleigh Airport, which is down on the south coast of England. It's now known as Southampton International, but it used to be Eastleigh Airport, formerly Eastleigh Aerodrome, which is where the Spitfire did its maiden flight. It's the home of the Spitfire. That's where my father worked, so I spent a lot of time there, and I grew up around aircraft, always loved it. It's something that I've always interested in. My father was interested in aircraft, and when he passed away and I got a small inheritance, it wasn't enough to do much with. You know, I couldn't buy a house with it or anything, but so I put it into savings, because I thought, well, okay, well, in case my mum needs it. And she said to me when she found out what I'd done, she said, if I need that sort of money, I'll sell the house, so you should enjoy it. So I thought it's the one thing that my father would have wanted to have done if he could have. So I did it sort of in his memory, really. So I got my pilot's license.
How long a procedure is that?
It takes about 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like getting a driving license. I said no.
Yeah, and it's not a case of learning. But flying the plane is easy. It's the paperwork. It's a bit like being secretary of the circle. It's the paperwork. There are a load of written exams that you have to do. There's a lot of classroom work, not just flying the plane. Yeah.
When we say planes, we're not talking about obviously commercial airliners, like 747.
Oh, no. Look, 2 and 4 seaters.
Yeah, 2 4-seaters, which I think we've had conversations in the past about Piper Cherokees and Piper Comanches and Piper Aztecs, but you have your own kind of favorite plane, don't you?
Yeah, Piper Warriors.
Piper Warriors, that was the one. Yeah, I couldn't remember it. Yeah.
Warrior 2s to be specific and nerdy.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's not nerdy. It's just, doing it right. Yeah, that's the one you like, and that's the one you fly most of the time. Let me bring you back to magic, because I referred to it in the post, and you said to me, I have a couple of little somethings that I would like to do. And I said, absolutely, fine. Don't tell me, just do it. Does this involve a small furry creature called Harbin?
Well, one of the things I wanted to tell you about certainly does, because you did ask me to make sure that Harbin was available for a brief part of this, and he is here. But here's Harbin. This is the lovely Harbin.
Let's pull up a picture of him actually doing what he does best, drunk at the bar of the Magic Circle. Let's see, Joe can pull up. There he is, yeah. That's actually the bar of the Magic Circle that's downstairs, yeah.
That is very much the bar of the Magic Circle, yeah. And this is where what you're seeing there is actually Harbin. This guy here is Harbin 2, or Stunt Harbin, if you like.
It's a body double, yeah, right.
the body double. This is the full body version, because who was made at the same made him the same time as the original Harbin. There's fur flying everywhere now. I'll start sneezing in a minute. Apologies for that. Because where is he sitting in that top hat? Obviously, it hasn't got legs and stuff in there. In that big hat on that giant pack of cards, because he's animatronic, as you can see. What you can't see in his ear, you can't see it. It's really tiny, but there's a camera just at the base of one of his ears. And there's a speaker inside the hat, and a lot of the electronics are inside that giant bicycle pack that he's underneath. And he's radio controlled, because the mouth, he turns his head left and right, his mouth opens, and what have you. It's free movement, but it's radio controlled. But also with the microphone, so that and on a monitor, or on the station that we've got, so that you can see what he sees, and you can interact with people being hidden out the way in a different room. So the idea behind this is something that I've been working on with Scott Penrose, who's been I made the rabbit and put the camera inside him and everything, but the electronics Scott's putting together for doing that. So he can be there at like the Circle Christmas show, etc., interacting with the children. They'll see this cute rabbit in a hat that they can look at, but then it can suddenly start moving. It can talk to them, and it can actually interact with them properly. So it's not obviously a load of recordings on a loop. That'd be really cool. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. And until now, the only people that knew about that was Scott and myself.
Speaking of Scott, he was, until fairly recently, when Noel Britton was elected, the previous president of the Magic Circle.
Yes. Scott's the immediate past president, but the presidents can only do a set amount of time in office, a maximum term. And Scott reached the end, so he had to stand down, which is why Noel has now been elected, and is doing a fine job. Now, I think Noel's met Harbin.
And Scott, I think we should say, does, shall we just, calling him an illusion builder is really a misnomer. He does much more than that. He's
a lot more.
A lot more. So, I mean, if you look him up and you need something done, is this a plug for Scott Penrose? Absolutely. It's always good to have a prop made by someone who knows and who is a performer as well. And he does know a lot of stuff. And from time to time, I can tell you, I have watched lecturers come on. One of them, I'm trying to think of his name, Dr. Rosen. He was a very good friend. In fact, the doctor looked after dear Eugene just before Eugene passed. He came on and he had to do something with an antique pistol. And that antique pistol was made by Scott. Yeah, you look up Scott. Am I plugging him? Yes. Do I get my 10%? No. It's just one of those things that we do. Scott's just told me who it is. Ricardo Rosenkrantz. That's the gentleman. Thank you, Joel. Yeah, I'm desperately trying to remember his name. But anyway, yeah.
That will give you an idea of the attention to detail that's gone into Harbin 1, not Harbin 2.
Which is why I'm bringing up those examples, really, because it's not just like you said. Okay, there's a camera and then a bit of electronics. There's a lot of thought and engineering and everything else that's gone into creating a super 100% perfect prop. I know you're happy with it, and it's amused, I don't know, thousands of people and children? I have no idea. Anyway, let's talk about Harbin, and I'll leave you now in Harbin to take the floor, as it were.
Well, that is pretty much it for Harbin. He was built really for that prop. Scott and I were talking a couple of years. It's been in the making. I've been working on it on and off, and he said we could do this, and I said, great. I can build a puppet. That's not a problem. And then Scott turns up with this pile of metalwork that was radio controlled and a working animatronic skeleton. And he said, can you make it fit that? So I did. So when I went on holiday, I took all sorts with me and built Harbin and brought him back, and we stuck him on, and it all works, but it's now just being refined and fine-tuned. But when you're making one thing, it doesn't take much more effort to make two. So I made a spare one just in case bits fall off, and don't let him know. This one here is really more of a transplant model, just in case.
Yeah, the body double. Yeah, the out.
but at the moment, I'm using him just to take pictures of him lying around the place, because
when you say at the moment, what you're doing at the moment, I guess, like a lot of us, in fact, you're not getting on and off planes, you're getting in your car and driving to gigs, but I think you're setting up things now where you've done both music and magical entertainment for corporations or people. So if someone needs to contact you for one of those things, they just get in touch with you, and you can do a ready-made online show. Is that correct?
Yeah, when this whole coronavirus thing hit, nobody knew how long it was going to last. And some of us thought it was going to be a brief thing, a blip, and it would be over. And I had no idea. So I avoided embracing the online life, because like most performers, I would much rather have a real audience. But when it became apparent that live theatre is not coming back anytime soon, as we knew it, I've had to embrace online. So it was rewriting the show, working out what can be done without people physically here, etc., and adjusting. And then rather than just do it, set everything up and set the camera and ran the show several times and recorded it to work it out, because it's a very different beast. To think you can just go ahead and do it, and I didn't realize how different it would be. The timing is totally different. Eye contact is totally different. It's very weird. Look, for example, now I'm talking to you on the iPad using obviously a camera, but if I'm looking at the screen to make things nice, it looks like I'm looking off into the distance, or I've got wonky eyes or something. So to look like I'm looking at you, I've got to look slightly past it, which is a very surreal thing. So top tip for anybody that's interested: get yourself a. I've got Lego Anthony. This is Anthony standing. I'm talking a Lego figure. So I know that if he's there, if I'm talking to that, it looks like I'm looking at you. And now you won't stand up. Oh well, you're laying down now. But never mind.
Yeah, that's a typical Anthony. He's laying down. Why stand when you can lie down? I mean, why?
Enough. I'll set you up. That's disturbing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
There we go. So it was little things like that, and I recorded it and I played it back, and timing is so different. So I thought, right, I've got this nailed, but I did a couple of test shows for some friends who hadn't seen me work, so that I could get genuine feedback, and some people that I trust that would give me, a couple of magicians that would give me feedback on things that once the lay people have gone, etc., to work out what they can and can't do, what they can't see properly, what they didn't understand, etc., rather than just launch into it. And so, yeah, it's a very, very different animal. It's the best description I've got for online shows, it's like the wasteland between rehearsal and an actual show. It's some strange middle ground, this no man's land. It's very, very bizarre. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but I'd still rather things were normal.
Oh, indeed. I think, and the wasteland that you described, in some cases, in fact, there are friggin' landmines in it, you know, because we've learned the hard way, as you know, and some people know that we also, as the International Assembly, do, of which, of course, you're a member, a charter member. We do another show called Arian Black's Magic Kitchen. It was just an idea that popped in. Arian and I knew each other for years. She loves cooking. It just seemed an idea to bring magic, you know, quick, snappy dishes together. Spoke to Joel. He said, love it. Let's do it. Well, we did the first one, and it was a disaster. I mean, you know, we looked at the rushes. Oh, God, that dates me. Sorry, the tape, the video. And it just terrible. There's so much to learn. There's so much, as you say, the psychology of it. And it is nothing like, trust me, if you've been in TV studios and you've performed to cameras, both live or recorded in the TV studio, Zoom is nothing like it. Is nothing like it. It's an art form in itself, as you know. We're continually learning and finding out. So yeah, wasteland is a good way of putting it. Now, I'm eagerly chomping at the bit because you said you have a little something that you would like to share or show us. Would this be a good time?
Yeah, don't get too excited.
Why not? Why not?
Because it's probably not that gripping. Something I've been working on with someone. We've kept quiet about it, but she did say that we could mention it here if we wanted to. For those that don't know, I like the history of magic, but one thing that absolutely fascinates me is an artist from the Victorian era, only known as the Mysterious Lady, which was, from the reports of the time, was an absolute sensation. She started in America, wasn't wildly successful, came over here, and they absolutely stormed it and ended up a massive star, and then practically just disappeared. But she used to appear on stage and come on and have her back to the audience. And her partner, which later became her husband, as we found out through the research, would go and the main strapline was she sees without seeing and she hears without hearing. So people could whisper something and she would be able to repeat what they said, or they could show something that they'd taken out of their pocket and she could tell them what they were. It was that sort of thing. What we'd probably call these days a two-person telepathy act, but it was so much more than that, because we've got detailed descriptions of it. And she all but disappeared. I've been researching her as much as I can because not enough was known. And the wonderful Eddie Dawes was a phenomenal help. He unearthed, quite by accident, when I contacted him and said, I'm trying to find out what I can. He said, I don't really have much more.
Sorry, Katherine. Apologies. Time out. I have to say, for those who don't know, many of us do, but for those who don't know, Katherine mentioned Eddie Dawes. He's actually a doctor. He's 90 something, I can't remember, he's 95, I believe, and probably a living encyclopedia on everything magical and magic history. He has a column still in the Magic Circular, and with those few words, I have not even done him 1% justice. Is that correct, Katherine?
No, absolutely. The man's an amazing, absolutely amazing. If they made a film about him, you'd swear blind that he's a robot. It's not possible for one person to know as much as he does, but he does. But I wrote to him and said, this is what I know. What else do you know? Because if you're going to start on any magical research, you might as well start with Eddie, because it's going to be the best information you're going to get. And he said, I don't really know anything more than what you've got. There's so little known. So I thought, okay. Less than 2 weeks later, I got an email from him. He said, stop the research in the places that I told you to look. Because whilst he was researching something else, he'd unearthed something about the Mysterious Lady and had taken him on this trail. And he came back just a couple of months later with a several-page article of the most amazing information that he'd managed to find from here and there, following all these trails that had taken him off, all these tentacles that had gone through time and pulling it all together in places you wouldn't think. And it was the most comprehensive document we've ever had on Mysterious Lady. So he gave me that. And he put an article about it in the circular. And I've been continuing the research, learning what I can. I haven't found out a great deal more because he was so thorough. But we have since found out, that she was married, and she was, we knew at the end of Eddie's research that she'd married a Mr. Matthews, so she was known as Mrs. Matthews. That's as much as we got. But by following her husband's trail, found out where he's buried, which has since turned up where she's buried. So I now know that she was called Maria, and that she had 2 children. So my next thing is to trace sort of family tree and see what's on that side of things. But anyway, but the Mysterious Lady is an absolute fascination for me. It's almost an obsession. And back in February, I was in a wonderful, wonderful show here in the UK called An Evening of Deception, which is a wonderful magic show in Cheltenham and out in the Cotswolds, which is beautiful. And I was with a really dear friend of mine, Kerry Scorer. She was involved. Mm-hmm. And so we were sharing a dressing room. And as you know, you're on for 20 minutes, but you're theatre for 5 hours. So there's a lot of downtime, a lot of chatting. And I was talking about Mysterious Lady, and she was interested. What I've been doing also is, for my own amusement, I've been reworking her act as best I can, bringing it as up to date as I can, whilst maintaining the historical aspect of it, if that makes sense. But purely
makes perfect sense. Yes.
Purely for my own amusement, really. And I was explaining this to Kerry, and she was interested. And so I ran through a couple of the principles while I was putting a face on, getting ready to go on stage. And she picked up on it very quickly, almost like a duck to water. And so we kept playing with this. I was picking things up, and she could tell me what it was. And I was looking at things, she could tell me what it is. And a little bit crude, but good enough. So much so that after the show in the evening, when we all went to the pub, we did a little stint, a little test in the pub for people, and nobody had a clue, and it went really well. And so Kerry and I have decided, let's do this properly. So rather than just for my own amusement, Kerry and I are actually working on recreating this act properly, bringing it up to date whilst being as historically accurate as we can. So
wow.
That's one of obviously, with lockdown having happened not long after that, it was a bit of a problem. But because of the technologies like Zoom, we can work on the mechanics of it all over this medium. So we've been able to continue working on it during the pandemic while we've not been allowed out. Obviously, staging and blocking, etc., is going to have to wait until we can get together. But so it's a lot further on than it should have been. So hopefully, in the not too distant future, the Mysterious Lady's act will live again.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, see, I told you I should get excited. Yeah, I love this kind of thing. Not wishing to take away anything whatsoever from you and Kerry. I remember back in the day when Noah built the Ark, I was at the Texas Association of Magicians. I can't remember what I was doing there. And I saw this couple, which everybody has got to know the name, Jeff and Tessa Emerson. Wow.
Yeah.
And I have never seen anything like. I've seen others similar, but never that skill. And as you say, the staging, the blocking, all the little nuances. It's not just a telepathy act. It isn't. It's more.
No, that is magic.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I love stuff like that. I don't do it. Dan Holland once tried to teach me a 2-person act. It just wasn't me, any more than, me doing cards and linking rings. It just isn't. But I love stuff like that. I absolutely adore it. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll buy a ticket. I don't care if you're doing a Zoom show even with it. I'll buy a ticket. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I love stuff like that. We can cover so much more, and time is just kind of like whoosh. And I'm trying now to repeat myself here, and I know there's a lot more to you, and we have to leave some time for people to maybe chat with you one-on-one or ask a few questions, etc. I remembered something. Have you got your mug handy, your coffee or tea mug? Now, you're a tea person, aren't you, really? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The Magic Circle has a shop. I'm not sure if you can get to it from the Magic Circle, but I know Katherine did give me the link about a month ago because I wanted to get something. And
Yes, you can.
You can through the link. You can now. Oh, okay.
Via the website. Mm-hmm.
Via the web, you can. Oh, there you go. Yeah. You see, shows you how much I know, which is nothing. So yes, you can. Do you have to be a member to buy anything from it? The answer is no. But there are some things on it you have to be a member to get, like your medal and other things. They won't sell it to us.
There's some members only merchandise available as well.
Yes. But so if you're thinking of a gift for yourself or someone else, or you want to hint to somebody, hey, it's my birthday coming up or whatever, guide them to that place because they got some cool stuff there. It's not just, your standard merchandise. Yes, they got coffee cups, but some other cool things. I know the other day, Bruce Calver, who was a former president of the Society of American Magicians and now handles the SAM website, magicsam.com, he got all excited and actually posted something that somebody had gifted him from there. I won't tell you what it is. So that's the kind of thing if you want to buy something for somebody or yourself. Worth mentioning. Before we go, we have a final clip we want to kind of finish on, which I thought would be kind of cool. I spoke to Joe and he said, yeah, let's finish with that clip, which Katherine sent us. Very cool. You'll see. But before we do that, I just want to ask Katherine if there's anything that you kind of want to talk about or just add in at this stage.
I'm happy to answer any questions about my views on anything. I'll ask away.
So there's your cue. So I think if you just type up a little chat something, I'll have a look at it. Oh, good grief! I didn't even know he was here. Let us acknowledge him, please. We have, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the Magic Circle with us.
Oh,
Mr. Noel Britton. Exactly. I'm busy watching.
Hey, Noel.
doing. Hello, Noel. Being host and director and all those kind of things. I very rarely know who's here. I only just now found out, and he asks, tell us a little bit more about Wilton's Music Hall.
Happily. Wilton's Music Hall is in the East End of London, and it's the oldest and last remaining Grand Victorian music hall in the world. It was saved from dereliction by Benjamin Britten and slowly brought back to a performing space. And when that happened, I was the resident magician there for 10 years during the time that we were raising the funds to secure the building, because it was falling apart. It was crumbling. Even though it was a listed building, it was absolutely falling apart. For the conservation work that was needed, and many, many millions of pounds were required. It is now saved as invisible mending is the phrase that they used. It doesn't look any different, but it's rock solid now and it's not falling over. The work that has been done is just astonishing. The architects have won many awards because of it, but it's the most magical building. It really is. A true Victorian music hall. And like I said, I was the resident magician there for 10 years while we were raising the funds for that. So if we worked it out, theoretically, I bought half the roof.
While we're chuckling, I just want to just jump in really for 2 seconds and explain to some of our friends and colleagues in the US and elsewhere, if you're not familiar with the very British term music hall, that's a whole talk and lecture just on that aspect of entertainment. There was a wonderful BBC program back in the day. I can't recall the name, but anyway, having said all that, the term that we're looking at is vaudeville. So
vaudeville, yeah,
curtains open and you got acts and things, and it goes back. Correct me if I'm wrong, Katherine. Goes back to Victorian times. Is that right?
Yeah, and just slightly before.
Okay.
Vaudeville is probably the closest that you have over there. I think vaudeville is probably a little bit more structured than music hall was at the time. Music hall now has a very rose-tinted view to it. People think because they've seen things like The Good Old Days and films, etc. It was more like a working men's club. It was bawdy. It was rough. It was hard work, but just a slight tie-in with Wilton's. When Wilton's was, before it had the Wilton's Musical Trust that now run and look after the place, it was being sold by Tower Hamlets Council. And it's when the Magic Circle were looking for permanent premises. And the Magic Circle very nearly bought Wilton's Music Hall. Wilton's was very nearly the Magic Circle headquarters. And I'm so glad that the Magic Circle didn't buy it. because what the Magic Circle needs, it would have had to have ruined Wilton's to make it possible.
Yeah, you wanted to keep the original character. Yeah. Osman Tunca from Turkey, who's one of the presidents of one of the IBM rings in Turkey, says, "Good evening. Is there any link that we can watch one of your recent shows? Go to your website. Or
well, the clips that you showed at the start, they were all filmed at Wilton's Music Hall.
Mm-hmm.
There are various pictures of it on my website, but a full show, no, there's no full show available online.
Okay.
Just those clips that are on my website.
If somebody want to get in touch with you to talk a little bit about history or something else, you have your Facebook page, then you have Katherine Rhodes Magician Facebook page, you have your website, which remind me is www.katherinerhodes.co.uk. Is that correct?
That's me. Yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm not hard to find.
Fair enough. Good. So that takes care of that. And the next one, also again from the president of the Magic Circle, Noel asks, puppetry, magic, keyboards, and flying are all very hands-on. A two-person coding act is... Sorry, I'm just reading what he wrote. A two-person coding act is hands-off. How difficult is it to learn doing something so different? That's very typical Mr. Britain humor. You can tell why I laugh now reading it.
And I can answer all honesty. I have to keep my hands busy. So I keep myself occupied while we're doing it.
Yeah.
This is Sebastian. He's the forerunner to Harbin. This is how Harbin actually started out as this blue monster. So he lives here as well.
I'll tell you something I found out from my last guest. I told Katherine this, and I was like, oh yeah, she didn't know, but then I told her how I knew. The last guest, and by the way, we have a showcase of Arian Black's Magic Kitchen and another showcase for this show and others that we do to do with the International Assembly. Steve Short, who, by the way, was introduced to me. She introduced me to him, and Steve was on the last Darkstone Dossiers talking about Ali Bongo, David Nixon, etc., etc. And he told me in the middle of that show that a gentleman called Edward Williams, commonly known as Ned Williams, was the actual name of Robert Harbin. I didn't know that. I don't suppose many people did, but there you go, your little bit of trivia, useful information to know. As indeed, I suppose by now everybody knows William Oliver Wallace, and if you don't know about it, well, we're going to be doing a show devoted to him at another time. Sometimes known as the Shriek of Araby, aka...
Whose initials spell wow. I mean, was it not meant to be?
Exactly. He's a direct descendant. I mean, you know what? I'm great honor and very blessed to have been on the bill with him and my dear friend and mentor, Pat Page. I won't go into it. I really won't. It's another time for a private conversation. I was on the bill with them at Falkland Palace, and then a year or a year and a half later, we were at Stirling Castle, and I mentioned that for a couple of reasons. If you want to watch the taped version with Stuart Short on of the previous Darkstone, it's all in there. But for now, Stirling Castle, where we did the other gig, there's Scotland, obviously. There's a huge statue of William Wallace, aka via the Mel Gibson movie Braveheart, which was based on this gentleman. Then obviously Ali was a direct descendant. Actually, speaking of Noel, Joel, could we just spotlight him briefly so we can just acknowledge him and his status? Nice to see you, Mr. Britton. Lovely. Thank you for joining us. How kind. Yes.
My pleasure, and thanks for doing this. I think it's like a lot of magic organisations. When you're working with someone, all you talk about is magic, and it's lovely to find all this out about. I didn't know about the puppets being your passion and what you wanted to get into most of all when you were younger. So I love these shows for finding out a bit more about people that you thought you knew very well indeed, and then you find out extra stuff. So it's lovely.
I can tell you, Mr. Britton, there's a lot more to Katherine Rhodes that we could find out. But you would even know more, because you know she's the secretary of the circle. And I think while you're here and we've acknowledged you, sir, we should say, and we have said before, and we should say it again and often, there are very strong links between the Magic Circle and the Society of American Magicians, and it goes back literally almost 100 years. You know, the links are very strong. In fact, not that long ago, the president of the Magic Circle, your good self, Mr. Britton, you were live streamed at the SAM convention in Las Vegas.
Indeed, no, lovely to be there, and it would have been nicer to be there in person, but good to be there via Zoom. But if I could, the question about the two-person coding act being hands-off, just one more question for Kate, because it does fascinate me, a coding act, because you've got to be on top of your game for it to work, in terms of memorizing so much stuff. And you know, a lot of us do memory stunts like the Magic Square, where you can practice it on your own, but you need both of you there to sort of practice a coding act, don't you? Or do you? Can you practice it on your own to a certain extent?
To an extent, yes. You can use apps on these wonderful gadgets that randomize things. You can put in lists of things, and you can randomize things to call up and sort of work it that way. It's a lot easier with the other person, obviously, because you're trying to play. I would imagine, what's the best analogy? Trying to rehearse it on your own is probably a bit like trying to play yourself at chess. It's you know, you can do it, but you know what the other person's thinking before you need to. It's sort of thing. It's it's not that easy.
Is there a difference in skills, do you think, between transmitting and receiving?
Yes.
Do you, once you know it, you can do it either role, or do you have to concentrate on one and really focus on that?
What we have found, this is obviously only applicable to us. I haven't spoken to anybody else that does this, but what we have found is that obviously you have to know all the ins and outs of the mechanics, so that you can do both. You can transmit and you can receive. But we found that one of us is better at the sending and one of us is better at the receiving. And so that's the way we're playing it, because it's stronger. We occasionally swap it round, but it's much smoother the other way. We've just naturally fallen into that rhythm.
Well, it springs to mind a story. I have no idea if it was true or not. I really don't, but it's a great story that Ginger Rogers used to spend hours and hours and hours doing some of her choreography, as did the great Fred Astaire. And then when they came together, it helped to do the they already knew certain steps. So when it came together, they didn't have to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They could just kind of like jump to full sentences because they knew the words, so to speak. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying? Is it sort of like that? Is it sort of like that? You do it on your own, but then you do need that choreography.
Yeah, well, because we're a bit like with dancing, where one's going backwards, really. We're doing this, although you're both doing the same thing, you're doing it in different ways. Your mindset is in different places. One is trying to work things out, and the other person is almost improvising to send the information. So it's different approaches to the same goal, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And coming on from something Noel has said, if I may ask, and I'm asking this personally, not on behalf of anybody, how would you rate that? I mean, doing manipulation or doing something else, or for want of a better word, standard mind magic mentalism, this is taking it into a whole new genre. Do you have to retrain the way you think?
I don't know how to answer that, because we sort of started from the ground up, so I haven't had to retrain. We started from zero, so we haven't had to retrain anything. It's just all new. There are little bits of what we do, because Kerry's a superb performer in her own right, so we're both seasoned performers, so there are little bits of what we do that we are bringing to it. On the whole, it's mostly all completely new stuff. So we've started from scratch.
Yeah, I suppose, I don't know, I can't think of a suitable example, flying a plane as opposed to a helicopter. Yeah, you're up in the air and you got controls, but it's all different ways of thinking, yes, because one's got going above you and the other one's got...
I've got no idea how to fly a helicopter. I wouldn't know.
No, well, me neither. I mean, I've been having a couple of choppers, but I'm just trying to think of a sort of sensible example. They're both going up in the air. They're both performance arts, but one is a whole different set of skills to flying. They're both flying, but it's different flying. Yeah, and it's kind of, that's the best I could think of at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the best I could think. Yeah, because again, the takeoff on a helicopter is totally different, as we all know. I mean, I was stating the obvious to make a serious point. Yes, because you're just going straight up, and that's it. That brings us very, very neatly, I think, to, as you rightly said, some magnificent flying, which you were kind enough to send us a clip for us to share. And I thought, and I spoke to Joel, and we both went, you know what, this would be a great way to close the show. Okay, well, I think then what we'll do is just call it a wrap, I guess. Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Noel. Very good of you to take time to pop in here. And correct us on anything we got wrong on the Magic Circle. Thank you to everybody else for attending. I found it fascinating because this lady, who I've known for some years, is the polymath. What else can I say? I mean, in so many areas, it's just incredible. Thank you all. Thank you, of course, as always, to our SAM president, Joel, for handling this and all the other shows that we do at the International Assembly, which, by the way, if you're not a member, get in touch with me. You should be. You can join the SAM. We just want to do it internationally. We have people from the Netherlands, Morocco, Iceland. In fact, they're in that feature that I spoke about, the August issue of MUM. I don't know if I can ask Joel to quickly call it up. Well, Catherine's in it, obviously. We have Mandy Davis, who is a SAM deputy. Oh, there it is. If you're an SAM member, you can go online and see it. A copy is always sent to the library. Laura London is your friend if you want to see it. The gentleman on the bottom left needs no introduction, but I'll say his name for the two of you who've never seen a picture of him. That's the great David Berglass, MBE, who was at one time also president of the Magic Circle. The lady on the top right that you're looking at, well, you've actually been talking to her live. And that's just two of the people that we're featuring in this very special issue of the MUM, Magic Unity Might, the Society of American Magicians monthly magazine, and that's in the August issue. Get in touch with me, Joel, anybody you want. It's fairly easy and straightforward to join the SAM. All right, good. Well, thank you very much. I think that's a wrap. Do we have anything from you, Katherine, that you want to add before we...
No, short of telling you horror stories when things have gone wrong, but I don't want to take up too much of your time because...
no, it's okay.
There are a few. I don't want to take up another 20 minutes of your time, Tanya. Things have gone disastrously wrong.
Go on. You fed me the line. You've got to follow it now.
I'll be as quick as I can with...
No, it's okay. Take your time.
One story that it chills me to the bone thinking about it now. I can't believe I've got away with it. And it was an abject lesson. Choosing spectators to help you.
Sorry, I'm laughing, but okay.
So
yeah.
You know where this is going, probably.
Lord, yes, from empirical experience, but carry on.
I'll be as brief as I can.
No, that's okay. Take your time.
Choosing spectators is, as I have found out over the years, a skill in itself. There's an art form there. You don't just pick the first person. That person going, me, pick me. You might think that they're going to be great and you're not have to fight, but they're too eager. You don't want them. And similarly, you don't want the person that really doesn't want to be involved. You need to work out the person that fits in the middle ground, that's going to do what you want and be reasonably comfortable doing it, but not too comfortable, because that's when things go wrong. And I think it's something that I've relatively nailed over the years. And a few years back, it's about 5 years ago, I was doing a show, placed a really high stage, long tables. It wasn't rows of seats. It was long tables going, that way, away from the performer, like a supper club. They'd all done dinner, and you couldn't go and mix in with the audience as much as possible. And I was doing my book test, which starts with the lines that lead into it are designed to enable anybody I ask to help to be able to comfortably say no, because you cannot guarantee that that person doesn't have a learning disability or a reading problem, or they can't see properly in the light, reading small words. It gives people a way out without embarrassing themselves, which I think is really important. So I've gone down as much into the audience as I can with the book and I've had, and there's somebody that's indicating that they would be happy to be involved. They're not overly eager, they seem okay, but I can't get to them because I can't see them fully. So I ask for the stuff to be passed down to them. There are a few people away. And while that happens during the book test, I've got a set of jokes and lines about what's been going on and the book that's going on, more than long enough for anybody to write down the longest word they could possibly find in this book. There's plenty of time, so there's no dead time waiting. So I get to the end of that and I'm ready to receive the stuff back, and they haven't finished writing the word. I can see them moving there, go, no, not ready. And I'm like, oh, so I'll make a bit more up, a few of the jokes that used to be in the routine that aren't anymore, call on those. He's still not finished. And this goes on and on. I've run out of things to say. I cannot think. I'm starting taking questions from the audience. Does anybody want to know anything about the magic circle, whatever? And I can feel myself dying. And I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I abandon this? Do I go and do a different trick and come back with this? This is ridiculous. And I don't want to make this person feel uncomfortable, because I can sense they're starting to feel a little uncomfortable because this is taking too long and I've got nothing to do. And people are starting to stare at them. Anyway, to cut a long story short, this went on for, it must have been about 4 minutes of dead time that I'm trying to fill, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you've got nothing to do, 4 minutes is a lifetime. And when I eventually got it back, I almost ran over to them to take the stuff back when they were finished so that I could get the peak. And as I get there, I can see this person wanted to be involved and they could write. I didn't realise, and they didn't realise, it was going to take them a long time because they had no hands. So I'm so glad that I didn't know that at the time, because that would have made me feel even more uncomfortable and I wouldn't want to draw attention to it. But it was horrible, and I could sense that they were embarrassed because they'd taken a long time, and I didn't want to make a feature of them, but they had no hands. And it had never occurred to me at that point to even consider checking that somebody had hands when you were giving them a pad and I do right. Now. I do now. I want to see working limbs now. Yeah. But I get back up. I'm so relieved to be back up on the stage to draw this to a conclusion. I'm thinking, if they don't start throwing things, I'll call it a win. And I get the glimpse that I need to get. Oh my God, I've got to find another reason to get another glimpse. And this has happened a few times. I cannot. The inside was, I felt dreadful, and I'm trying to be all light and jolly. And short of going, I'm trying to secretly look at this, and I can make out about 3 letters, and the rest of it is just nothing. I thought, oh God, after all this, I'm not even going to be able to conclude. And I wish I could remember what the word was. I can't. It was there was EXD or something, whatever. I can't remember. And I had no choice but to guess. That's it. I had about 3 letters to work off, and I just guessed. Blow me if I didn't get it right. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to stop the show there and say, you know that gentle applause you're giving me because I've got it right, because this has not been as brilliant as it should have been. You don't realise how amazing this actually is. I couldn't believe I got it right. I was doing victory laps in my mind, but I was happy just for them to politely applaud me off, and I must have looked awful for them, but never in a million years would I have thought of checking that somebody had working hands. But like I say, I do now. Every day's a school day.
What, true? I mean, who would? Well, I truthfully would never have done that. Checked if someone got hands. You know, you do the usual things. You do need glasses to read, and all that kind of usual stuff that you do. How on earth?
I don't even approach anybody now for that routine if I haven't already clocked that they've got hands.
Hands. I don't think I blame you. I don't think we can actually top that. So this would be a good time to almost wrap, because I'm dying to get to the bit where we see you going, yay! I'm having so much fun. Yeah. So thank you again to everybody for showing up. I hope you all had as much fun as I did. Thank you again for the president of the Magic Circle being here. Thanks, of course, as always, to Joel. And for those of you who don't know, you can use the applause for Katherine, or just go like this if you want to. Yes, thanking Katherine. You can just do that as both. And we don't have a feature that I know of that says happy birthday. Why would we want to say happy birthday? Because today, believe it or not, he's been working this morning and he's working now. And that's the president of the Society of American Magicians, turns 35 today. No, it's actually his birthday. It's Joel's birthday. So happy birthday, boss. Yeah. Yeah. Anything that resembles a picture of Franklin, you can mail to him. I have his address. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, having said all of that, thank you again, and let's just play us out with this. Follow that. How? Yeah, you were having way too much fun. Okay, good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.